Hello YouTube, Hoosier Archer here, and this is a comparison between the Exotac Nano Striker XL and a Chinese-made EDCGear, supposedly a clone, but as you can see, the one on the left, which is the EDCGear, is slightly longer than the Exotac. I'm going to pause the camera now and we're going to put them together for use. And since I'm using my phone, I can't manipulate them and film at the same time. So you probably will only notice the seconds of pause. Okay. That's them out as to extended. Now if you'll look at the one on the left, I think you can see that it's slightly askew. It doesn't run completely straight like the Exotac does. Well, that is because that ferro rod actually wobbles in the threading. Now here's a problem with that. If you've ever worked with a tool and it has had some wiggle in it, so let's say something that was less than stable, you probably found that over time, the more you use that tool, the more pronounced that instability became. And I am firmly of the belief that if you used that ferro rod a lot, eventually that ferro rod would completely exit the housing without being unscrewed. They both go together exactly the same way. Now, but the threads on the ferro rod on the left are sloppy, and the threads on the Exotac are pristine. There was probably somebody who really knew what they were doing machined the tool on the right, the Exotac. Every single thread on that works smooth as silk. You can't say that on the one on the left, not on the aluminum housing and not on the ferro rod. Now, the strikers, on the other hand, look like they were made by the same person. They absolutely positively function the way they're supposed to. They're completely solid in every respect, and the striking edges on the striker are all nice and crisp and sharp. And they're both carbide. The striking tips are both carbide. Now, if I can get here a little closer and you can see the, I don't think my camera's quite good enough, but you can see the thin, very open checkering on the EDCGear one, and much tighter and even deeper knurling on the Exotac. There's a much more positive grip on the Exotac. And that ferro rod is rock solid in the housing. So this one on the left cost me $2. And I had to wait 2 weeks to get it from Hong Kong. I think it was Hong Kong. But that was the total price. Actually $1.90, the entire price. I see these on eBay now. The average price is about $3.50 to $4. So I got it early on, and then I bought the Exotac simply to compare the two, and the Exotac was right around $30. Now here's a question that's going to be different depending on who you are and your situation in life. But the one on the left will do everything the one on the right will, and probably for nearly as long. So is the one on the right, that even with its better fit and finish, oh, and I forgot to mention that the Exotac is slightly heavier than the EDCGear. And which means to me it's probably made with a better quality of aluminum alloy and probably has a slightly denser ferro rod. So it'll probably last a little bit longer than the one on the left, especially when you consider there's play in that ferro rod that'll get worse over time. But the question is the Exotac worth 10 times what the EDCGear one is? More than 10 times what the EDCGear one is worth. Now, mind you, I'm a patriotic American and I believe in supporting American businesses. I bought the one on the left just to compare it to the one on the right. The one on the left is going to go probably into my kit closet, and it might see duty in some deep pocket of some pack somewhere where it'll be a last ditch thing. But the Exotac is actually is part of my EDC now. So I like it better because of its better fit and its better finish. But I personally think it's somewhat overpriced. I think a more fitting price point for it would probably be $19.95, just because that's got a ring to it in the ears of anybody who's ever watched an infomercial. But that's just me. But still, I would say, don't waste your time on the knockoff. Go ahead and spend the good money on the real deal Exotac. Funnily enough, the EDCGear, the knockoff, actually sends a photocopied copy of the Exotac use instructions, which I find fascinating. So they even know what they're copying, and because their English isn't as good, they just go right ahead and plagiarize their use manual. But anyway, take it for what it's worth. I would be happier if the Exotac was a little less expensive, but it is everything it's supposed to be, and done in an absolute expert manner. You cannot dispute the fact that the machinist who put that together knew what he or she was doing. Well, that's it for this video. God bless and happy trails, and watch your top knot.